It's just me against the world. It's me against the world, baby. I got nothing to lose. It's just me against the world. Me against the world, baby. Can you picture my prophecy? Stress in the city, the cops on top of me. The project is full of bullets, no bodies is dropping. They ain't no stopping me. Constantly moving while making millions. Witnessing killings, leaving dead bodies in the abandoned buildings. Carries the children cause they're illin'. Addicted to killing and the appeal from the cap villain. Without feeling, but will they last or be blasted? Hard-headed bastard. Maybe you'll listen in this casket, the aftermath. More bodies being buried. I'm losing my homies in a hurry. They relocating to the cemetery. Got me worried, stressing my business blurry. The question is, will I live? No one in the world loves me. I'm headed for danger. Don't trust strangers. Put one in the chamber whenever I'm feeling this anger. Don't wanna make excuses, cause this is how it is. What's the use unless we're shooting? No one notices the youth. It's just me against the world, baby.
Me against the world.
It's just me against the world. It's just me against the world.
Me against the world.
Cause it's just me against the world, baby.
There are moments in sports that transcend time. There are moments that push the boundaries and dazzle the eye. These moments come so quickly and so unexpectedly that if you look close enough, you see the essence of greatness. You see an incredibly rare mix of raw emotion, skill, dedication, compassion, and excellence that can change a generation. There is no perfect way to describe this time other than with a trite, you know it when you see it. There is a place where humanity meets fate, and as a spectator, all that we can do is marvel at how amazing it truly is to watch someone accomplish something that took one thing and one thing only, and that's hard work. Yesterday, Sunday, January 24, 2020, we lost the embodiment of hard work in Kobe Bryant. That includes his daughter Gigi and everyone else on the helicopter that crashed in Calabasas, California. Gigi and everyone aboard the helicopter were part of Kobe's hard work. All of those aboard were headed to basketball practice at the Mamba Sports Academy, an academy founded by and named for Kobe and a testament to the game of basketball. Kobe worked his entire life. Kobe worked to be an NBA star, a humanitarian, a father, and a friend. Kobe was proud of his daughters, all of his daughters. Kobe treasured his family and his wife Vanessa, and that became clear in his post-NBA career. Kobe had a few hiccups along the way. He had a few things happen that I'm sure that he would take back if he could. But Kobe came into the league at 17 years old, straight out of high school. Who among us hasn't done something that we wish that we could take back? Mamba was imperfect, which somehow made him that much more relatable and that much more human. Kobe's illustrious career is eye-popping as much as it is invaluable. The game of basketball would not exist as we know it today without Kobe's accomplishments. Kobe inspired an entire generation of NBA players. The relationships that Kobe formed are unlike any that I've ever seen in sports. The public outcry has been immense and astonishing. Basketball fans and non-basketball fans alike feel this tragedy at their core. They feel it because in so many ways the entire tragedy is not about basketball at all. It's about a retired man who worked 20 years to be nothing shy of the best, leaving nothing to chance and continually learning from others on how to make himself and those around him better. In today's episode of the show, we mourn the loss of Kobe Bean Bryant. We celebrate him as well as his daughter and all those aboard the helicopter that met its untimely demise on Sunday morning. There is no doubt in my mind that Kobe would find it unacceptable to not go back to work. This is the very least that we can do for an NBA legend who is so much bigger than not only sports but basketball itself. So I wanted to start today and dedicate this show to Kobe, his family, his friends, his legacy, and most importantly, his memory. Welcome back, guys. Kind of a tough one, right?
It's a really tough one. When I got the news, I had 10 missed calls and like 15 texts when I was getting a massage, and I get out and I get this news. My mom had called me like 8 times to check on me because she knows how much he meant to me. And you guys know this too. And I probably don't do a good enough job articulating this for the listeners. Kobe Bryant's my favorite basketball player, not LeBron James. Kobe Bryant's my favorite athlete, celebrity, really just person to model yourself around. And I mean, it still kind of feels surreal. Like that seems like the last dude that would happen to. You know what I'm saying? Because of the trajectory he was on for what we knew he was going to do, post basketball. And I know it meant equally as much to you, Josh. But I don't know. I don't know what phase of the grieving process I'm in right now, man. Like I think I'm still in denial a little bit. I watched, all these highlight films, top 40 plays. And we'll get into some of it because it's incredible how all these like clutch baskets with 2 minutes left, the game's like 65-65. But dude, I mean, just watching his game, it reminded me of why I fell in love with him, because he was so crafty and so cerebral and not, an absolute freak athlete like most of the elite players and big men. And going back and watching it just made me fall back in love with it even more.
Yeah, I don't want to do this episode.
I know you don't.
I know it's necessary, and I know it's part of what we have to do as people that report on this. Like, what would it be like if we didn't come up with an episode in regards to this? If we just acted like everything else happened. But this feels like what it must feel when Superman dies. Like this guy that I've looked up to my whole life. Like we've been watching him since he was 17 and put on the biggest stage in the world. Watched him make mistakes and go from ultimately like one of the most hated athletes in the world to being one of the most beloved athletes in the world because of his redemption arc and because of the fact that he worked so hard at that. And Justin just dropped the bomb on us that he's going to go live with this and put video out. And I'm like, dude, people's going to see me cry, bro. Like last night I was, I was in my room, just scrolling through Twitter and was just crying. Like the truth. I was just crying and I held my dog and Anna came in there and I wanted to be like, get the hell out of here, but I just kind of like didn't say anything. Yeah. I talked to my buddy at work, who's a big Laker fan, and we both knew that each other had been crying. And he said that when he was younger, his grandma said that she cried a lot whenever Elvis died, and he was like, "Who cares if Elvis dies?" And he was like, "No, I get it, man." And dude, I get it. Like, it's crazy. I've never met the guy, never talked to him. Like, but yeah, hey, he's shaped my mind. She's shaped my life. I think he's changed who I am. I
think to that point, like we've watched him since day one, since he was 17, all the way. And I mean, we've been there every step of the way. It's weird to live in a post-Kobe world.
Yeah, that's where I'm still not at yet, right? Like it just doing everything felt strange today, even though, like you said, he would expect nothing less than you to, carry on that mentality. Like I got up at 6:00 today and I could have slept till 6:45, but I actually told myself to get up, like forced myself to get up because I was like, dude, like Kobe would take every advantage that he gets in every day and make the full use of his 24 hours. So it's like that's a way to pay homage and like just reflect on it is, embrace that mentality, and try to make that a long-term play. But dude, it's crazy because the impact of this, like from a pop culture standpoint, is Elvis, John Lennon, Princess Diana level.
The last one that I really remembered what I liken this to, and I think, Kyle, you'll probably agree with me, is when Robin Williams died.
Robin Williams and Prince are the most recent ones that are kind of like
they were just a gut
level.
Punch.
But Kobe, like, dude, Princess Diana, I mean, that was what, like 96 or 7? I mean, it's been a long time since somebody of that magnitude has passed. I think it's at the age, like, Robin Williams had, maybe put himself through the ringer a little bit. It was a little older as Prince was as well. Kobe was 41.
Right.
And, I don't even want to get into it too much. The daughter part of it, if you're a father or not, which I am not, I mean, I just can't imagine. It's just, that's the toughest part to me about all of this. But as everyone's talked about today, man, the post-basketball stuff was, we were really probably looking at something special there because he was getting his feet wet in a lot of different pools.
I mean, he said it himself that if the next 20 years weren't better than the last 20, that he failed.
Right.
And that's
incredible.
That's so how he would look at
fucking
it.
champion.
Yeah, that's how he would look at it too. It's not surprising at all. It's really not. And, you know, I feel like I kind of have to clear the record a little bit because I have gotten after his ass a lot on this show since we've been doing it. And
Yeah,
but
you
that's-
always paid respect where it was due.
absolutely. And I still do. And it's one of those things like, it's one of those things. The only reasons that I really hate on Kobe is one, he's a Laker. And, you know, I'm naturally bred to not be,
Part of it. I get
a
it.
Lakers guy. And, like, I don't think that I've ever seen an athlete that could make me mad, sad, pissed, happy, like put a smile on my, like he ran the gambit of emotions for someone that really didn't care for what Kobe, I love what Kobe stood for, but I always kind of wanted to correct the record and make sure that we're talking about it realistically. That's all I've ever asked.
Sure.
But regardless of that, I still respect the hell out of Kobe. And I've always made that very clear. And I have to make that clear again so I don't get killed out here just because, you know, all of a sudden now you have to be nice about the guy. No, this is different. This is bigger than that.
Yeah, I don't think that this should change anyone's opinion on how good of a player he was, like, because it's not new information, right? In regards to him being a player. So it shouldn't change your overall opinion on him as a player. What we really are, and I think you alluded to this earlier, Kyle, what we are really missing out on is, and you too, Justin, what he has next. We're missing out on the next 30 years of Kobe Bryant continuing to become a better person and working hard to be a better person and sharing that with everybody. We're missing out on what Gigi could have done and the way that she could have changed the world. And I feel robbed of that. The tweet that got me last night was actually, Justin, you'll like this. Tweet that got me last night was a tweet from, I can't remember who it was from, but it said something to the effect of Boston fans are incredulous that Kobe Bryant broke their heart again.
Dude,
Like,
yeah.
that's the one that got me.
It's so true. It's so true. And he just had that way of being somehow infuriating in different ways. And it just, I guess it's not that surprising. And it's just always weird when someone goes from being somewhat immortal in our minds to mortal all of a sudden. And I think that's what we're really having a hard time wrapping our heads around today and probably will for the coming little while. And I mean, the hell of it is like, I mean, the first thing I thought about was, damn it, he was supposed to go into the Hall of Fame this year. And headline.
I didn't think about that. Obviously, the first thing that came to my mind is LeBron, you know, passing him the night before. I didn't even think about the Hall of Fame aspect. I do want to say, in terms of immortal, though, he, and Josh alluded to Superman earlier, he was the most superhero-like basketball player of our generation, or the early 2000s generation, even to now. I mean, you look at guys like LeBron, KD, Melo, D-Wade, Dirk, Duncan, the best guys the last 20 years. Kobe was still, in everyone in our generation's mind, and in all those players' opinions, the most just ice cold of all of them. Just cold-blooded, will, you know, be silent and just kill you on the court, you know, or let you know about it. But either way, you know, he was just the most, I guess, revered competitor of that whole group. And I think that's a group of some really hard-ass workers and, you know, great players.
Well, and I think too, when we got done with Jordan, he kind of ushered in that next era of basketball, and he was kind of made the face of the league, and he carried that well. And you know, we'll get into some of the specifics in a minute, but I think about which Kobe I liked better. Did I like number 8 Kobe or did I like number 24 Kobe? And I almost liked number 24 Kobe better just because he embraced the villain role and really played it well. And
I like 24 better.
But he also he spent a lot of time letting that animosity build up to the right thing, and that's very Kobe-like. Very Kobe-like. He plays with that chip, you know.
I think the 24 Kobe was maybe better. It's tough to say. I love the 8 Kobe more, though, for sure, because that's who I fell in love with originally.
Well, naturally.
They were two completely different players. Like the 8 Kobe was built off of
athletic, man. He would just
go
into those top 40 plays. You're like, shit, I forgot Kobe could do that, you know?
Dude, some of those plays, like maybe the best dunk of all time in game was he got in a fast break against the Raptors and did that behind the back and 180 and and tomahawked it. Yeah, that might be the best game dunk I've ever seen.
I saw that live because that was actually a little later in his career. Like that was 24 Kobe.
Was it really?
Yeah.
That's crazy. Yeah,
dude. Yeah.
I guess 8 Kobe would have just taken off from the free throw line. And
Yeah,
two-handed
exactly.
it. But
Exactly.
was the Steve Nash dunk, was that 8 Kobe or was that 24 Kobe? The one where he got the loose ball and then went and yammed on Steve Nash.
I don't
while
remember.
Steve Nash tried to take
if you tell me what team
charge.
was it Dallas Nash or Phoenix Nash?
It was Phoenix Nash. So that would be 24.
Probably 24, yeah.
Yeah.
You know what got me though was the player tweets. I mean, I'm sure y'all saw that on Twitter. You could probably see it, aggregated list of it. But dude, seeing what some of the players were saying, more so, the players that played with him, like seeing Brian Shaw and Jay Williams, dude, it was really tough. What is crazy to me is like, we all know like what it takes to be, an elite athlete, or like we understand the level of hard work it takes to be a professional athlete. All these NBA players are some of the hardest workers you'll meet, what regardless of what you think of them or not, as far as them as people. They're some of the hardest workers you'll ever meet. And all those dudes that are the hardest workers of a 300 million person sample size said this guy's the hardest worker. And that's fucking crazy when you think about it. Like, it's just like a consensus hands down vote that guy was the hardest worker. And that's the hardest workers, some of the hardest workers on the planet telling you that.
Right. And I think there's this, I mean, I kind of alluded to that in my open, that, the thing that I always love about Kobe the most is the hard work that he did. And like, he was a psychopath in a lot of ways and a sociopath.
Absolutely.
Where, like, he wanted to learn everything. I mean, you got to think about the fact that you're talking about a guy that could literally tell you the score of any game he played in 20 years. Like, that's impressive. And I think he just lives for it. He would get up at 3:00 in the morning to get, to lift some weights and get a workout in before the day and get to it. Like, he literally, I mean, he used to always say it best, like, if I lose, it's not going to be because of things that I could control. And he was the embodiment of that. And there's no doubt about that in any way, shape, or form.
Yeah, I mean, looking at the accolades too, right? Like, we know about the rings and the finals MVPs, but to me, the craziest number is just 18-time All-Star. Now, a couple of those you can say were generous at the end. Either way, that means I think the only 2 times he didn't make the All-Star team were his first and last year and his second year. So, I mean, 18 All-Stars may never be done again with the amount of talent that's in the league.
Can I go down his resume here real quick?
Yeah, throw it at me.
I put a whole bunch of stuff together. Let me find.
I know he's basically at 20. He's at 25, 5, and 5 for his career.
Yeah, so he's 5-time NBA champion, 2-time NBA Finals MVP, 18-time All-Star, 4-time All-Star Game MVP, 11-time All-NBA First Team, 2-time All-NBA Second Team, 2-time Third Team, 9 times All-Defense First Team. That's something that isn't talked about nearly enough is Kobe's defense.
That was more 8 Kobe on that for sure.
That was
no doubt
that was
about it.
Kobe.
Yeah, because guard defense is NBA All Defensive Second Team 3 times, 2 times scoring champion, a slam dunk contest champion, All Rookie Second Team, Naismith Prep Player of the Year, first time Parade All American. I mean, he's a little decorated.
Yeah, I mean, so to me, the most impressive number of all those, though, is probably still the either 18 All-Stars or the 11 first-team All-NBAs. With the talent that's coming in and out of the league right now, I mean, I don't think we're going to see that again. Yeah,
I agree. All those accolades are super impressive. The thing that impressed me always most about Kobe was, especially late in his career, is like the entire NBA is racked with the entire world is racked with grief. This is the highest profile death since Princess Diana. Like, and it's over a basketball player. Like, he didn't just change basketball, he changed people. Like, look at all of the people that are calling him mentors. And that really only started maybe at the end of his last 4 years or so.
Yeah, I was gonna say
because before that, he was trying to kill people, right?
Yeah.
On the court.
Yeah.
Just the way that how quickly he changed people, and how much of a difference he made in so many people's lives. Like, look at Shaq. Shaq hated his guts. Like, and then Shaq is sitting there like tweeting out that he's just heartbroken and talking about how much he loved him and things like that, because they had that special and they made up on national TV, and Kobe was willing to sit down and have those hard conversations and say, I screwed up in certain ways and you screwed up in certain ways, and we're going to get past that and try to understand each other better, and that's more than any of his accolades, that's what's impressive to me and what I loved about him. And I get where you guys are coming from. I just figured I'd throw my 2 cents in there.
No,
About
I'm glad you did. And it's important. Like, I think the way that Kobe always looked at it, or the way that I always saw it, was that he looked at talent around him and said, what can I get out of this guy if he's willing to work at it enough?
Yeah.
And, it's always those guys that were willing to work at least half as hard as he would, which is still a hell of a thing to do. He'd look at those guys and say, are they willing to go into battle with me here? And if the answer is yes, Shaq was always willing to say yes. Regardless of whether their approach was the same or not, that's a different story. And that's where Kobe would get crossways with guys.
Yeah.
But it's, he's sitting there looking at Swaggy P and being like, this
you
is what you're going to
kidding?
put around me?
Yeah.
Right.
I love that Kobe wanted his teammate selection because he essentially was, helping with those roster decisions as LeBron does. He based those decisions off of who is going to work the hardest, who is that committed to this craft and to a championship. LeBron's basically just like, who's going to be my boy and hit a 3 if I pass it to him.
Right.
It's not about work ethic. So it's a little different. I just respect what Kobe brought to the table.
And dude, Kobe loved Powell and he hated Dwight. And Dwight was so much more talented than Powell was.
Right.
It was just because Dwight didn't work hard and Kobe hated that.
It's so ironic that he's taking the victory lap that he is now and back in with the Lakers. So good. And that was the other first thing that popped into my head was son of a bitch, because this is just gives the Lakers something to play for more than anything else. And that's terrifying to me.
I think it probably does increase their likelihood to win a title.
Oh, dude. Minus 1,000 easily.
Where do you think
think
LeBron's mind is at though? Right. Like, passing him from 3 to 4 on the scoring title list or the all-time scoring list, and then getting that news, coming off of a plane the next day. I mean,
dude, I feel like a daughter that Kobe left behind. I can't imagine what LeBron feels like.
That's
right?
what I'm saying, dude.
Dude, I feel you. I can't. He must be just devastated.
I mean, it is devastating. I'm glad you brought that up though, Kyle, because one gripe that I have about this whole thing, and it's really one of those things that I hope that we learn from it in the future, but there was so much just fake stuff running around out there yesterday. I mean, about, we didn't even know that there were more than 5 people on the helicopter until like late last night.
Right.
And there was just so many journalists that were kind of acting irresponsibly as far as reporting that news. And, I don't know if you guys saw like the Amare video. He's playing over in China and they went and shoved a microphone up in his face and, and basically broke the news to him. And he was absolutely shocked. And, and then you got, the Tyson Chandler thing was tough and all that. But there was just, it's just messed up to go break something like that to some guy and be like, thoughts. You know what I mean?
That
Like,
brings the worst behavior out in reporters because that is their livelihood and their job is to get those guys to talk about that. But you feel like you got to just cut that off at a point. I mean, regardless of what you're being asked to do, right?
Right. And so I think it'll just be something that we look at in the future as a lesson of we don't have to be first to this. You know what I mean?
Everyone was trying to pump that story out, but I mean, it's going to take some time to get the true details before we even speculate. But
it's just like
the
a
media
lot of
was a little irresponsible with it yesterday.
Did you guys happen to see Tiger's reaction to this?
No.
So
I didn't.
he was finishing up at the Players, so obviously he didn't know. And on the 18th when he birdied, someone had screamed, do it for Mamba or something like that. And Tiger, didn't really know why. He just, kept on going or whatever. And as he came off his caddy, he told him, and you could see him. And Tiger just literally turns around and said, "Excuse me, what?" And they told him, and
Wow.
and then there he was like on TV doing the post game interview, and they're asking him questions about it, and it's like, I mean, come on, like the guy literally just learned about this 2 seconds ago. What are we shoving a microphone in his face for? Like Tiger was a huge Kobe guy, huge Kobe,
absolutely.
Guy. That one killed me. That one definitely got me.
Doc Rivers one was bad too.
Yeah, was it great?
Yeah, they competed against each other, and that was the amount of love he was showing for him.
Like Doc should hate him. He took a championship from him.
Exactly.
2 championships from him, right?
Do you guys think they should have played games yesterday?
I would have been 100% okay with everybody that played yesterday having 81 games. Just not reschedule them. Like you guys can have 81 games, and then the 81-point Kobe showing too. That would have been double, But I would have been okay with that. part of me says Kobe would have wanted to play, right?
Mm-hmm.
That's how I feel too.
And
That's
then
the
part
hard
of me is and then part of me also is very much in the like I don't care what we think he would have done. Like it's these guys need some time, because he touched every one of those guys.
So I have no doubt that he would want them to play the games, but
Yeah.
I think just from a image wise of watching, Tyson Chandler crying on the sidelines and stuff like that. That's these guys can't go out there and expect to hoop like that.
Yeah.
Like that's not really safe either. Like that, your head's not in the game.
Yeah, it's tough.
I didn't watch any basketball yesterday.
I didn't
I
either. I
couldn't
couldn't
do it.
even bring myself to do it.
Yeah.
And I kind of just I was under the. I get that it's tough to cancel those games and stuff like that. People are already in the arena. It broke 30 minutes before the first game. I get that, but man, like if I'm in the arena and that happens, I'm just gonna sit down for a while.
Yeah. It's definitely going to change your perspective of how you. Man, it's just changed my perspective of everything. You just got to really. I just can't get over the immortal factor that we talked about, man. Like Kobe, that just felt like this was the last guy I was going to happen to. So it just makes you take a step back and really think about that. I'll be honest, looking at the stats, I know you talked about the accolades. I feel like they almost don't do it justice. You know what I'm saying?
No.
Because especially in today's NBA, where the stats are certainly inflated for pace, because this was, a great deal of his career was played in an era that, was 89 point per game average, right?
Grit and grind basketball.
Yeah, everyone was scoring in the 80s. I mean, because you look at 44-7 and 32-9 as his field goal and 3-point split. 83-7 for free throws, good, but those percentages just don't hold up that great. But in that time, for taking hard contested twos where you could hand check for half of that time, those are actually good percentages, right? Like if he was playing in today's NBA, I believe those percentages would be quite a bit higher.
Yeah, I agree with that. He was in that was the dead ball era where there was no real, people didn't take threes, right? He took threes, but not at a high rate. Like other people didn't do it. There wasn't really much of the spread in the floor. You could still trap and do zones. It wasn't illegal like it was for Jordan. You could hand check a little bit for the earlier part of his career, but that kind of went away. Like at the end of the day, we can't appreciate what he did so much because LeBron came in and this was so freaking efficient and changed the game on efficiency that you're constantly going to be comparing him to what LeBron was, right? So it's just hard to look at what he did versus what we expect now as far as efficiency goes.
Right.
Well, and we talk about it all the time too. Like the game is just different in that way. Like the 3-point, we've seen that chart that's been creeping around over the last couple of weeks now, where it shows the difference in shot chart selection from now versus the early 2000s and how different it is, and it's just a different game now in a lot of ways.
Yeah, it's the top 100 shots, most 100 shots spots taken, and it's just a perimeter around the three, basically, and with a lot more at the top of the key and elbow, and then everything in the paint right around the basket. And the mid 2000s, there's so many elbow jumpers and mid range shots, and that's what I'm saying about Kobe, man. Is he was taking pull up 17 footers with a guy in his face. It was certainly a little more physical, at least first 7 or 8 years of his career. If he's playing against the Phoenix Suns defense, Kobe might be going for 35 to 38 a game like Harden.
Also, he was robbed of 2 or 3 MVPs, dude, depending upon whether you want to give it to him over Dirk. But Steve Nash averaging 17 and 11 over Kobe Bryant's 35, 7 and 7, or the year before, those were robs, and it was because the world hated him because of the scandal.
Yeah, the league wanted to give it to,
to Steve Nash, the stand-up guy.
To Steve, yeah, Mr. Khakis.
Yeah, exactly.
And Kobe averaged twice as many points as him that year.
Yeah, it was ridiculous. It was one of the biggest snubs of all time. But it's we said it 100 times. MVP is a popularity contest, and Steve Nash was way more popular than possibly the most hated athlete in the world was at that time.
He was so good at embracing that villain, but he really let that go in the last couple of years too.
Yeah, he did.
Yeah. Did you? So the Mavs retired number 24.
Love that.
I love it.
I think if we're gonna do it, it needs to be league wide.
I also would love that. Yeah.
I think it's a little bit weird for a team that he didn't play for to do it, but if you get 5 or 6 teams to do it, I think the whole league should do it. Like this sucks right now. Like this is really tough. Like all of this sucks. We said at the top of the episode we hate having to do this episode right now. It's one of the worst things to have to try to figure out overall content wise is how to do this properly.
What to say, yeah.
To what to say and all that. But like, and we're looking for ways to make sure that we're holding him in the highest regard. It feels like the Mavericks jumped to that a little bit to me. I'm not sure if that's quite necessary. I get why they did it. I'm fine with it. It is what it is. It just felt a little bit strange that a team that he didn't play for did it.
I mean, it's definitely a PR move to a degree, but Mark Cuban has shown how much he actually likes Kobe, and I think he definitely liked the mindset that he carried around. I think Mark Cuban probably operates in similar waters, but I think it would be great if it was league wide. I think that's appropriate given the tragedy and the unexpectedness. And just the impact he had on the game, but I don't know. It doesn't.
You kind of see where I'm coming from.
I get what
right?
you're saying. Yeah, I get where you're coming from, but I think it's a good move by Cuban, and I like it.
I just hope the other teams decide to follow suit. That's all I'm saying.
Sure.
I definitely get what you're saying. It is weird for another team to do it. I'm not going to take away the way that Cuban wants to grieve.
Sure. No, and that's fair.
And like people will, I saw this argument all over the place. People will say, well, if you're going to retire 24, you got to retire 23. No, you don't. Jordan didn't die with his freaking 13-year-old daughter in a helicopter crash.
Yeah.
4 years after retirement. You don't have to do that just because you think that Jordan was a better player.
Yeah.
This is different.
Yeah. That's insane. That's a terrible argument.
So I'm trying to think. So that gives him 3 jersey retirements total, right?
Yep. Because
he's got 8 and 24
retired.
Right.
LA.
And so then LeBron will probably have, I guess it'll depend on how this Lakers thing goes.
Yeah. I don't know if they retired LeBron's 23. I don't know.
If he wins a championship, they will.
Yeah.
If he wins a championship, they will.
Especially this year. For Kobe. Oh man.
Do you feel pretty good about that, don't you, Justin?
Minus 1,000. Put all
that they're winning a championship now.
Put the mortgage on it. Yeah, come on. I've seen this happen so many times where a team gets destined, and that team.
This feels like destiny.
This is so good, dude.
It does.
I mean,
here's the other thing. Giannis deleted all of his stuff, and he worked out with Kobe in the summer. Like, what? Holy cow, dude! Like, who's he gonna work out with this summer? This is where I start to lose it. Hold up, why is that making me lose it? But what do you even do? Like, he deleted all of his stuff. Like, how does that guy feel? He was as close to Kobe as everybody else was.
Yeah, because I mean, the European connection there. Because Kobe, I don't know if he's fluent in Greek, but
he's fluent in like
5 different languages.
Yeah, so he probably was to some degree. I know he's obviously fluent in Italian, that's where he grew up. But yeah, that's going to hit Giannis hard. But that's why I don't know if you can just instantly slot LA there. I mean, I guess you can maybe for the West, but I think Giannis is going to be playing with a chip on his shoulder as well. Now, certainly, I think the combination of LeBron and AD is too much for just Giannis unless those guys step up and hit 40% in the finals. But I think Giannis is going to be playing for something too.
All right, we'll finalize some bets. We'll work out what the details are. We'll bring it to the next show, and we'll just.
God, I can't be talking myself into Milwaukee, who I wrote off last show, and. Obviously I'm a big LeBron fan. I can't take Milwaukee in that. I don't think you can just pencil in the Lakers.
Yeah.
If the Clippers win it, does it feel too weird even though it's an LA team? Is it just not?
It's not the same thing.
Right.
Joel Embiid will have a chip on his shoulder too, but it will be a chocolate chip.
Right.
Zing. Heyo.
I don't think
I got to get away from the crying stuff. But
I don't know if this instills any additional I don't know if it creates any change in the way Kawhi approaches the game because I think it's already so methodical.
He doesn't have emotions. Yeah, he doesn't have any emotions.
Makes it pretty easy.
So
he's currently processing.
I'm just trying to think who else. I mean, obviously the Lakers, but Giannis is tied. I think we may be destined, which was already probably destiny with the top 2 records, even more so for Milwaukee Lakers final.
Dude, yeah. I Really like that take, Justin. It does feel like the Lakers should win it.
I've seen this happen. It's happened to my team before. I know how it feels. This is destiny. That's what this is going to be. I can already tell you that. I don't even. They haven't even played a game since this happened, but I can just tell you. And dude, you know LeBron is looking for something like that just to light him up. And think about how like varied LeBron's image has been in LA up to this point. Just like I think what I've learned the most. So I was thinking about this earlier this morning. Like one of the reasons that I even decided to start this show in the first place with you guys is I was having discussions on Twitter about Kobe, and like I'd always kind of carried my own Kobe thoughts of like, well, you know, I get why people talk about him like he is the best player of all time, but like let's pump the brakes on that just a little bit. And you know, I had the takes that I do. And only when I really got into Twitter did I really meet other people that actually kind of had the same takes or opposite takes, and I was able to argue it with them. And so it was something that I really was interested in doing more often. And so that kind of led to a big part of why I wanted to start this show with you guys. And I just look at like, I just look at how there's such a difference between Kobe fans and Laker fans. They're definitely crossover, but they're like Kobe fans.
That's how I am.
Yeah, Kyle, you'll kind of attest to that, right? But like, and then there are Laker fans, and those are very, very different people that I have, you know, learned over time here. And I just think about how much those Kobe people have really struggled with LeBron coming to be the quote unquote king of LA. And it's a little bit easier for you, Kyle, now because you're a LeBron fan too. So it kind of works out well in that sense. But
Yeah.
it's still not necessarily just replacing it in your mind. And I think you look at it differently, but I don't think a lot of people do.
Yeah, it's different for me because those are my two favorite basketball players. But to me, it's still not even like Kobe. LA is still Kobe City. Like LeBron is just there to handle business at the end of his career and leave a great legacy, which I respect as well too. Like LeBron is always going to be like Northeast Ohio. You know what I'm saying? Like that's
Sure.
LA is still Kobe City. LeBron is just trying to continue greatness there.
But if he wins a ring,
Kobe's
dude,
still
I think it helps smooth that transition over a little bit.
Yeah, I think I like if
Kobe's
they
still the
really
greatest
get, if
Laker.
they really do get motivated like this, or like you think they're going to, then and they win 2 in a row, then like a conversation becomes the greatest of all time for LeBron. I think
For
he's
sure.
just a couple away from that.
I didn't say they're going to prattle off 2 in a row, but I wouldn't be surprised if this. It's
If
possible.
they can retain AD, it's certainly possible,
Well, yeah, I hope so.
dude. But I do want to kind of just real quick go back through a few things when I was watching some of those highlights and just remembering and reminiscing on some of those games. First of all, the thing I love about it is they're all like meaningful games. Like all his top plays are like fourth quarter, and it's against, you know, the Spurs in their heyday with Duncan, Ginobili, Parker. It's against the Suns with Stoudemire and Nash. It's against the Kings with Vlade and Weber and Bibby and all those guys. And then, you know, who else was good? Portland back then with, you know, Pippen and Rasheed Wallace. And it's just, he was doing it in such meaningful games. And those were such like classic grit and grind games. I mean, it's definitely a different style of basketball that was less popular because there was a lot less offense and a lot less scoring. But it just makes his like his 25-5 is kind of incredible when you think about it, when teams were only scoring 85 points a game and the big man was so prevalent.
Yeah, and I mean, I would only push back on how many attempts he'd take because he was a volume shooter. But that's not. I mean, he had the balls to take the shot, and that's what matters. Like I love the people that are always like, oh well, he just has bad. Not about Kobe, but just in general, they'll talk about basketball players and say, oh well, he has a bad he has a bad shot selection. It's like, no, the open shot's the right shot. It's just a matter of
Kobe's shot selection towards the end of his career was bad because he wasn't athletic enough to create a shot, but he would create a shot with craftiness and just being with subtle little movements to get guys a little off balance where he could get where he wanted to be. But it was not pretty by any means. So that affected the field goal percentage. But a lot of it, like I said, comes down to him getting ISO'd by these really athletic perimeter defenders, the best perimeter defender, whoever they have to offer, with different rules, and taking 18-foot pull-up jump shots with a hand in the face, where now if he can get a pick from, Joel Embiid or Jokic, and then come around that on some soft ass defense, he's going to get better shots and he's going to shoot more efficiently. But I mean, it's hard to compare eras and do hypotheticals like that. I don't hold 45% against them though.
Yeah, let me tell you the secret of what was happening in those bad shots in that late end of his career.
Break it down.
As you get older and you can't do the things that you used to be able to do, your mind still sees the game the same way, and you still see it at the same slow pace. Like, I can attest to that, bro. I see 1,000 things that I wish I could do, and every now and then you want to try it, and you just fail miserably.
You just can't.
Yeah, exactly. So your mind still sees what's happening, and the game is still going slow for you. You just can't elevate the way that you used to, or you can't explode the way you used to. And it's frustrating. It's super frustrating. Like, if you don't think that Kobe was crazy frustrated with himself towards the end of his career, you're crazy. Like, I think LeBron gets frustrated with himself, and that's why he's changed his game so much.
Right.
And I think it's important to note too that, and we've praised Vince Carter a lot because of the way that he's adapted his game to the way that his body has changed, and he's become a different type of athlete than he used to be. And he's done that over and over again. Dirk was one of those guys too, but very few guys have that ability. Kobe was definitely that guy. The game got away from him a little bit at the end, but a lot of that was just frustration and trying to stay healthy and the Achilles tear, all that kind of thing. Like that stuff matters, and even though it felt like it got away from him a little bit there at the end, I still think that he, to Josh's point, in his mind, he knew what to do. It was just a matter of whether he could do that anymore or not.
I just got LeBron's first statement since Kobe's death. You guys cool with me reading it?
Yeah, go for it.
Yeah. I'm not ready, but here I go. Man, I'm sitting here trying to write something for this post, but every time I try, I begin crying just thinking about you, niece Gigi, and the friendship bond brotherhood we had. I literally just heard your voice Sunday morning before I left Philly to head back to LA. Didn't think for one bit in a million years that would be the last conversation we'd have. WTF, I'm heartbroken and devastated, my brother. Man, I love you, big bro. My heart goes out to Vanessa and the kids. I promise you'll continue your legacy, man. I'll continue your legacy, man. You mean so much to us here at #Laker Nation. And it's my responsibility to put this stuff on my back and keep it going. Please give me strength from the heavens above and watch over me. I got us down here. There's so much more I want to say, but I can't right now because I can't get through it until we meet again, my brother. And that goes to show, like, they had just talked, like, LeBron passed Kobe in his hometown of Philly on the scoring list of all time. They just talked, and the next day, Kobe's gone.
Dude, they're definitely winning a championship.
I'm telling you, dude, that man's going to win a ring.
That's insane. Yeah.
There's no way. I mean, that all that LeBron ever needs is to get motivated, and you know that better than anybody else.
Barring injury, man, that team with the way AD's playing right now and the production they're getting out of Dwight Howard, and, like, dude, all of a sudden, like, KCP is hitting like wide open three. It's crazy. Yeah, they're barring injury, I think they're going to be in a good place to win.
And I mean, that's a hell of a testament to Kobe and the way he changed the game. So, question for you both: is he the greatest Laker of all time?
Yes.
Yeah, longevity. If Kareem's the greatest basketball player to play for the Los Angeles Lakers, that's a different question.
Magic is pretty close.
Magic would be number 2 for me, is the greatest Laker. But Kareem's the greatest basketball player to play for the Lakers. It's just half his career wasn't there. So
right, I think that. So I think this is where age kind of comes into play a little bit, because I kind of view it as Magic, but I think it's incredible that Kobe put himself in a place to even have that conversation to begin with, and for people to even wonder whether he's the greatest Laker of all time or Magic.
But Magic played what, 13 seasons?
And that is a shame. It got cut short there, but I mean, I don't hate the take. I think the case could be made for either of these guys.
Yeah. When you look at even amount of rings, though, the longevity factor for Kobe is kind of what would be where he gets the win, I guess. I mean, dude, Magic was a greater player. It's tough.
But the other side of that is it's the same amount of rings in shorter time.
Okay. But Kareem and James Worthy are better teammates than Kobe had.
Yeah. Here's my take on it. Magic was a better player, but Kobe did more for the Lakers.
Okay.
And that's hard because dude, Magic did so much for
Yeah,
the
because
Lakers.
he helped it
But
kind of
Kobe was-
establish it.
And still does.
Kobe was there from 2000 to 2000, the 16 years with the Lakers, or actually earlier than that, 98 to
96.
But-
96 to 20 years with the Lakers of just
I mean, you can say that, but
Winning.
look at what Magic has done post play for the Lakers.
it's a good point.
I mean,
Walk
he-
out of
Yeah, I was going to say he quit on him in the middle of a meeting. It was great.
Yeah.
like,
I'm
dude,
just kidding,
that's
but he's done a ton for the Lakers.
yeah, but I don't know. Maybe that does come down to just being a 90s baby and Kobe kind of being my Jordan. Cause like, I mean, the first real basketball memories I have is the 3-peat Lakers. I mean, I remember Jordan playing against Stockton and Malone briefly. Like I remember that last one, but like those basketball memories were so fond to me. And that's when I like kind of fell in love with the game when you're like, 8, 9, 10 and 11 when the Lakers were winning those championships. And I had Kobe posters literally all over my wall. Like that was my dude, him and Griffey.
Had a great shoe line too. Probably one of the best shoe lines out
Yeah,
there.
once he made the switch over to from Adidas to Nike, because he was, I think, originally with Adidas, but the Nike Kobe's were some of the best basketball shoes to play in, no doubt.
No doubt. They're the coolest looking too.
Yeah, I would agree with that.
To that note, I sent you guys both the video of him jumping over the car. A lot of people say that's not true or not real. That's definitely real, right?
I don't know.
I can't imagine him going, I'm about to risk injury by jumping over this car.
He's too calculated for that.
Dude,
Yeah, but
if he knows he could do it, you know that he's the right type of psychopath that would do something like that.
Young Kobe might. And I mean, if you go back and like Josh, I forgot how high Kobe can jump. Like you have to really go back and watch.
Dude,
You're like, oh shit, I forgot.
Jump, bro. Yeah, and that was my thing. Was like, I was at first thinking this guy was every man's player because any man could. He wasn't like some giant freak, He was 6'6", which is 2 inches taller than me. But then I think about what he was like as an 8 dude. He was a freak athlete, but a lot of it just came from work. Like his later career just came from work.
No, for sure. But I mean, don't you think that a dude that's as calculated as that could figure out the timing of that? And I mean, I think he definitely did it. The video doesn't leave a whole lot of question for me.
The video looks super real. And I remember like in my intro to engineering class, I used that in one of my like projects that we did, that video. But
I'm relatively certain that part of what makes it so great is that it's not like it was a staged commercial or anything like that. It's like the three of us going out and be like, all right, Josh is going to try to jump over the Kyle driving the car. All right, we're going to see what happens. And then
not
Josh,
going to be pretty, bro. That's going to be, that'll look like the Kenny Smith one. Did you guys see that? Where Kenny Smith tried to redo it and it was just the car just ran him over like they cut it that way.
just nailed it.
But there was another one where Kobe jumped over a pool of snakes and that one was so obviously fake.
Well, yeah.
I don't know.
I do remember that. It's like, isn't it like an outdoor above ground pool?
Yeah, it is. And it's for sure like him getting picked up by a bunch of strings and because that thing's longer than the free throw line. But yeah, I want to believe, and I think 18 to 22-year-old Josh would have said, "Oh, that's 100% real. There's no way you can disprove it." But I don't know, man. I don't know.
That's that late 90s CGI.
Oh yeah, for sure.
I'm about as sure as that as I was that Paul Pierce pooped himself. So I mean, it's I'm pretty sure
Basically guaranteed.
Paul Pierce did poop
he
himself.
did. I know, but I'm just saying. I'm glad. Yeah, I'm relatively
fair.
sure. It's so real looking, and I just wouldn't put it past him to do something like that crazy, especially young Kobe.
Yeah.
He
that's
was
true.
just so fuck the world. I'm going to do what I want. It was impressive. You can't really get past that part of it. It really is surreal, guys. I don't think that I ever. I mean, I think that we always just thought that Kobe would take some time away from basketball, and his way to give back would probably be through his daughter and everything. And I guess I don't think I realized that they had like a 6-month-old. I didn't realize that like. He was,
Yeah, they had a brand new one.
Yeah, I don't know that I knew that, to be honest. And Kobe's been pretty quiet since he left. He's been he's been working and doing his thing, but he hasn't really been to NBA games a whole lot other than with his daughter. And
No, but I mean, he won
Just
an
mentoring
Oscar.
kids.
yeah, he won an Oscar. No big deal.
Holy shit.
and
Pretty good start to the next 20 years, man.
But you can't think
Unfortunate.
that he didn't go into it thinking I'm going to win an Oscar here.
Yeah, like that was the goal, and he accomplished it really fast. And he's
Of
just
course he
like,
did.
holy shit.
He was waking up at 3 a.m. to write that poem.
He's like, if I can do this, I mean, you got to think about it. Like I said, the NBA, that's some of the best competitors in the world. So any other arena or realm he steps into, he's going to be an elite competitor no matter what he does.
Right.
And that's what you hate to see get cut short. I do want to say before we go to, man, like we saw the clutch numbers. Like everyone always talks about Kobe being the most clutch player of all time. He wasn't. He made a lot of clutch baskets in a volume way, right? Like he had a lot of clutch shots, but he took every clutch shot. I think there is something to be said about that and being able to do that over a long period of time and still try to get yours. I know Jordan and LeBron were more clutch, but if I won't have anybody to take my last shot, it's still Kobe. And like every kid from like 2003 to 2015, like when you shot a balled up piece of paper in 8th grade, you said Kobe, like no matter what. You didn't say LeBron or Jordan or anything like that. So like I think that's going to be the legacy is him. He's going to be that ice cold clutch shooter, regardless of what the stats say.
I think that Josh probably said Gilbert Arenas when he did his, but that's
I did that before I brought guns in the locker room. Actually. I did a Kobe. I did a Kobe today to myself, and I just melted, and I was like, Kobe.
It's Kobe sad. I
Kobe's.
I think that's a really good point, Kyle. Like I think that's how transcendent, whether you really watch basketball or not, this whole thing has been. And I mean, we haven't even really given enough due to the other families that were on board of this whole thing. And
Correct.
I mean, it's a terrible, terrible thing, and just something that's so devastating. And I mean, it's just one of those things you kept thinking, no way is this real. I sent it to you guys, and I was like, please say this is fake news. Like, please say this isn't real. And I kind of kept thinking that all day yesterday. I just never really could get past that. And it was only until I woke up this morning that I kind of realized, like, damn, the world just feels a little different.
It does.
It's weird.
I saw it. The text that you sent me, I looked at it and I said, nope, fuck that. Not reading that.
You thought for sure
I'm not looking at this.
You thought for sure I was trying to pull one over on you in some way, shape, or form, which I don't.
Dude.
I mean, I don't blame you for doing, but
I went back and looked through the 5 stages of grief earlier, and I tried to pinpoint like when I had each of them, and I think I'm still in depression. I don't think I've hit acceptance yet, but
I don't think we're really going to notice it till we get to like the All-Star game.
Yeah.
Yep.
My stage 3 of bargaining was when I texted you guys, God, take Rick Fox and not Kobe.
Yeah, like I don't know how Rick Fox got swept up into this. Like it really, of course, Rick Fox kind of tweeted and was just like, "I'm all right, guys." It's kind of a weird spot. So let me ask you guys this: we've got just a little bit longer. I want to ask you guys, what is your favorite Kobe moment?
So my favorite one was just because I got to watch such a momentous occasion live, but it was the 81 on Jalen Rose, who, by the way, seemed oddly happy that Kobe died. I don't know if you guys saw that.
Man, this always brings out the hot takes from Josh.
It really does.
Rick Fox, Jalen Rose. Good Lord.
Dude, go back and watch him talking about it. It was weird, dude.
He's trying to sacrifice
okay.
Jalen Rose now. That's what
dude.
He's trying to do.
I'm not okay with this. But that was my favorite Kobe moment because it was like I put it on Facebook. When I was watching that game, it was just like he didn't miss. Like he would come across. There was times where he was doing heat checks where he'd come across half court and just pull up, and it was just didn't even hit rim. And I was like, I remember thinking to myself, there's never been a more talented man on this planet in anything than this man. Like it was just unbelievable. I can't imagine watching Wilt's 100-point game and thinking that he was more talented than Kobe. Like that was the most surreal thing that I've ever watched in sports. It was one of those where you go, this can't be happening. This isn't real.
Watching a 100-point game would be pretty wild, though.
Yeah.
Yeah, but if he's 8 inches taller and 90 pounds bigger than everybody,
yeah,
I mean, that's like me just going into I'm going to an 8th grade B team game.
Yeah, exactly.
And I'm just calling for it in the post every time and lowering my shoulders.
Why don't you go watch me drop 100 on a Fisher Price hoop against a bunch of elementary school kids?
Oh man, this is how we got to deal with the gentleman with laughter.
Right.
I would say my favorite Kobe moment. I got to honestly pick I mean, I think it's so fitting that he took 50 shots in his last game and scored 61 points. Like
it's pretty on brand.
That
I
was
mean,
a big moment too.
that just encompasses his entire career into one game, pretty much. In some ways, in some respects. But man, there was a game against Dallas, and he scored 60 or 62, and he did not play in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
And that was before the 81-point game, I believe, or right around the same time. So maybe in the same season. And that's where I was like, that might have been the season he averaged 35. I was like, holy shit, like this guy's the best player ever.
Yeah, that season had like 10 50-point games in a row or something like that from him. It was 8 to 10. It was
like
crazy.
he actually averaged 25 that season, but 10 games skewed it to 35.
I was always incredibly impressed by that until Klay Thompson put up 30 points in a quarter. I mean, that's just absurd.
Klay ruins everything.
I think we'll look back on Klay as
His own
perpetually underrated. We already know how we feel about that. He's the second greatest shooter of all time, and he's just discarded. But yeah, those would probably be my favorite Kobe moments. What's the fist pump? What the game that he hit that shot? Because
that was Game 6 against the Suns.
Yeah.
Game 6. I thought it was Game 5. Yeah, Game 6 against the Suns.
One of the two. Yeah,
just comes across kind of the top of the key to the right elbow, and I mean, it's just it's money as soon as it goes in. And
it's a good one.
My fiance who does art is actually going to do a piece for me of that moment of him clutching the fist after that.
Nice. I would say that my favorite, anybody that listens to this show knows that I love and respect, I should underline, Matt Barnes. But him chucking one in Kobe's face and him not flinching whatsoever might be one of the most unbelievable things I've ever seen.
That's a great one too.
Yeah. That was one of my favorite Kobe moments.
The whole series.
Matt Barnes is a hard ass too.
Right. And I mean, there have been several different different angles of that clip that have since kind of shown it to be not maybe as it exactly looked, but like
dude, I would have flinched right there.
Dude, yeah, sure. To have any ball that close to your face, I mean, even if it was just a little bit off the side of your head, would still make almost anybody flinch. And I mean, that was when Matt Barnes, he said, like, I want to play with this dude. Because like
right.
This dude is ice cold. And I just think that when he was in that mentality, that Mamba mentality that he always talked about, like I don't think he was necessarily with us. I think he was just operating on another level. And he just knew how to turn that on. And he catches crap for those years in between having a big man, mainly from me. But like you can't say that the teams around him were that good in those senses. And I think a big part of what makes him really special is that he did all of this with the Lakers. And I think about how rare that is, especially in a league where players move around all the time. And I think that has something to do with it in a lot of ways. And, he, during those years in between there, he demanded a trade to the Clippers and the Bulls and all that. But I mean, I don't think
things are going to happen over 20 years.
Exactly.
Look at what LeBron has done. Jordan's road wasn't as smooth as people like to recall.
We'll get into that another day. It's not.
Yeah.
I think we're going to have more Jordan talk as the ESPN thing comes up. But I think there's a really special thing about that. And we talk about Dirk and how that makes him special in a lot of ways. But like that, the fact that it was always in LA, just it matters.
Yep. Yeah, speaking about Dirk, Kobe was also one of the first, my dad pointed that out, one of the first guys to really embrace Dirk from like the American game. You know what I mean? Mm-hmm. And really like that Euro game and have a deep respect there. I think we're going to always disagree on that, Justin, as much as we respect each other's basketball opinions about the quality of Kobe's teammates, because Shaq played with Penny in Penny Hardaway's prime when Jordan was not in the league, and they did not get to a finals. And I think Kobe was just a little bit greater than most guards in that era, and I think he was more important to that duo than people probably give him credit for, even though he was still probably 1B, because Shaq did dominate. But those final teams, like you guys, I think Powell was a great player. Lamar and Metta World Peace were good players. You had veterans with Derek Fisher, but I don't think those teams were as elite as you guys do. I think Kobe carried those teams on his back.
The Pau Gasol one, I didn't think they were elite.
Okay.
Yeah, but
I'm with you on that.
They were scrappy enough to figure out how to work together and to discount Pau Gasol and what he did at that point in time. I mean, nobody thought that was going to work, but it was a brilliant thing.
aside from the Dirk 2011, and I would even argue with that, you look at the last 20 years of championships, and that team had the least amount of talent from the like 2 through 5 spot. So, I mean, that's just the number one player making them great.
I'd have to go back and look at that. I'm not ready to commit to that, yes or no yet.
Yeah,
but
the only other team that would come is the 04 Pistons. I already looked at it. So you're going to find a lot of, obviously, LeBron, Wade, Bosh,
sure,
Parker, Ginobili, Duncan, Clay, Steph, Dre. It's tough.
Yeah. Well, even so, I'm I don't want to get into why I bring down Kobe, because that's not what we're here to do today. It's
no,
really
certainly not. But like I said, that's those last 2 champions were the most impressive that I've seen, I think.
Yeah.
From an individual. Kawhi last year was also on that level.
Another top moment of Kobe's career that I really liked, and we weren't even playing basketball, has just recently happened whenever he learned Slovenian and talked trash to Luka in his native language. That's
good.
A top moment of mine for Kobe.
It's pretty good. I also got to admire the whole taking the $35 million bag whenever you're like 40, or like, what was he, like 37 at that point?
Yeah.
Like,
I think he got 2 for 48.
Yeah, good luck for putting a team around me, pal. I'm getting paid.
Yeah, he got 2 for 48 for what he had done. And that was when like nobody was getting $20 million deals, and he got 24.
Yeah.
That's so crazy.
Yep.
You got to admire it, though. The team was stupid enough to give it to him, and that's all that matters. You got to take it where you can get it,
Absolutely.
All right, well, I think we're going to go ahead and get out of here. This is a weird time. This is really one of the weirdest things that we've dealt with. It's definitely the weirdest thing we've dealt with on this show, but really some of the weirdest things that we've dealt with as we've been a company in general. And, we send our best to the families involved, all the families involved, not just Kobe's family, but, we hurt for Vanessa, who not only has to, mourn the loss of her husband and life partner, but also, her daughter too. That's just a terrible thing. And then, also be a rock for the rest of the family. It's a tough situation, not anything that any of us know anything about, but it's a sad thing. But our thoughts and prayers go out to all the families. We'll be back maybe later on in the week with a normal episode. We'll just have to see. But we want to make sure we got our thoughts out there. Any final thoughts, boys?
Just enjoy the memories that Kobe left behind. We started this off very somber because that is the way I feel. But at the end of the day, we're still laughing at the end of this because you got to enjoy life and just remember the good moments Kobe had on the court and what he did off the court. And then just pray for those families because there were other families involved as well.
Yeah, I would say that my takeaway is there's a quote from Kobe early on in his career where he said they were asking about him what his goals were, and he said, ultimately, my goal is to become a better person every single day. And I think that a lot of people can learn a lot from that from Kobe. Like, regardless of how you become a better person, every day just keep pushing to be better. Whether that's being very nice to a waiter one day or whether that's picking up a new skill, like just be a better person and make the world a better place.
Well said, guys. Well said. All right, we'll see everybody later on this week.
Later.
Boom, 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 boom. Now tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to run. When judgment comes for you, when judgment comes for you. Tell me what you gonna do when it ain't nowhere to hide. When judgment comes for you, 'cause it's gonna come for you.